Hello and welcome to this driving test video full of hints and tips on how to pass your driving test. There are many other videos in this series, but this one is going to be a little bit different in two ways. First of all, this includes a really funny event that happened on this driving test, which I think you'll find quite amusing, and this happens quite often on tests. But what would happen when this happens? Well, we'll have a look at that later on. The second difference is that I'm going to tell you the result of the driving test right now at the beginning. So the result of this test is a fail. But I want you to see as the video plays, can you spot where and when the pupil fails? How many serious faults were there? And here we are in the test centre car park. We're going to do a forward bay park to begin with. So we're going to go to one of these bays on the left hand side and drive forwards, and you must finish between the white lines. Now if you're not absolutely certain that you're between the lines, you can apply the handbrake, go into neutral and have a look. You can open the door or put the mirrors down and have a look and see if you are between the lines. They'll often ask you if you're happy with what you've done. Once you say you're happy with it, that's it, you can no longer adjust it, but up until then you can adjust it up to about 3 times on average. There's no set number, but they'll normally give you 3 goes forward and back to adjust it. So the pupil's having a look and seeing if that's in the bay. And as with other videos in this series, the audio will mute every now and then, so the sound will go off in the background. That's just because the pupil didn't want their voice to be put online. We were perfectly in the bay. Now you might know that from my other videos I've said that you can't film in test centre car parks because it's DVSA property and the rules are you're not allowed to film in the car park. However, this particular test centre was a leisure centre, so this actually is not DVSA property and we are allowed to film here. And also this centre has since closed, so there's no longer a test centre here, but there is a test centre just up the road, which is Kings Heath Driving Test Centre, and the routes are the same. The two places were virtually next door to each other. It's just this one was opened because there was so much demand of the other one. I had to open another one to help cope with the demand. So we're now doing independent driving where the pupil has been asked to follow a sat-nav. Now in case you wonder why it says Anker, if you look to the right of the screen in the middle, there's a little thing that says Anker. And somebody did leave a comment once, why do I put rude words on the windscreen of my car? Well, I don't, it says Anker, and that's just a reflection of the little badge that's on the batteries that we use for the sat-nav, because the batteries don't last long in sat-navs. So we have these little bags from a company called Anker with batteries inside them, so that's why it says Anker on the windscreen.
At the end of the road, turn left.
So the sat-nav's told us to go left, and we're just coming out of the test centre.
Turn left.
Now I won't be talking throughout the whole of this video. There will be times when I just sit back and let you listen to what's going on and let you experience what it's like to be on a driving test. But I will be putting as many hints and tips into this video as I can. And as with the others in this series, this is not filmed on my normal camera, so I'm sorry the quality is a little bit lower than normal, but this is my older camera, which wasn't quite as good as the one I've got now. So we're following the road ahead. Now why have we gone to the right hand lane?
After 300 yards, turn left.
Well, as you can see there's a bus lane. So we're going to go second left, the sat-nav is saying after 300 yards. It's the second road on the left, the one where the bus is just coming out from. So we're not going down this road, and I have had quite a few people go down that road by mistake. And remember that for later on. In a few minutes I'll be talking more about that. So we're going left into this road here, and as you go into this road there are quite a few speed bumps, and we're going to apply the same rule on the speed bumps as you do with the lanes on roundabouts. So you choose the one as far left as you can for the way that you want to go. And if you look at the arrows, the left bump and the middle bump both have arrows on. So that means you go over the middle one or you can go over the left one. We chose the middle one on the last occasion. This one we're going to go over the left bump, because you should keep as far left as you can whenever it's safe to do so. We also just did the show me question there, just asked the people to show me how to turn the heater on. And we're now pulling up on the left just before this junction. And as I've said in other videos, I know this is not the best place to park. We're not stopping here for a long time, we're just pulling up occasionally as you will on a driving test. Some of the places they ask you to pull up in are quite strange. This is not that busy a road though at the moment, so it's not the best place to pull up, but that's the way they do it on the tests. So we're moving off again, checking around, checking the centre mirror, and right blind spot. And we're going to be taking the next road on the left. As I've said in other videos, you don't have to check the left mirror and the left blind spot. I'm not saying it's a bad idea to do that, because it's a good idea to do that, but you don't have to do it. So these videos are about what you have to do to pass. So we're going to keep following the sat-nav for about another 15 minutes. Again, the sat-nav part of the test is about 20 minutes long, but it does depend on the route. Now this route involves lots of narrow, twisty roads like this one. This is more of a town route. In other videos I've done, you'll see us going out into the countryside, and they're very fast, open, wide roads, but around here it's a lot of back roads. This route is pretty much all back roads, quieter roads.
At the end of the road, turn left.
So end of the road, you turn in left. Where would you go here?
Turn left.
And that's correct. This is one of those Y junctions that we've mentioned before in other videos in this series and other videos I've made in the past. So a Y junction like that is something I shall cover in other videos. It's worth doing a video just about those on their own, but that's how you do that one.
After 300 yards, go right on the roundabout and take the third exit.
Now this is where the funny thing happens, and this happens to quite a few people. I want you to just watch what happens here and see what you think of this.
Go right on the roundabout and take the third exit.
Okay, so the pupil's gone into McDonald's. So, have you ever done that on your driving test? It's quite common that that happens around here. And we always say don't go through the
Cross the
drive-through.
roundabout and take the second exit. Then,
But when there's a queue of cars, sometimes you can get stuck in the drive-through at McDonald's on your driving test, with someone saying, "Can I take your order please?" Anyway, so we're coming out to McDonald's now. And if you go the wrong way, the examiner and the sat-nav will just redirect you. But I want you to listen to what happens here and just see what happens.
go left on the roundabout and take the first exit.
So the sat-nav's staying left of the roundabout. And I'm just reminding the people here, turn left, first exit. So we've gone the wrong way, but do you know why so many people do that? I want you to leave your comments to let me know why you think so many people do that. Why do people indicate left and then go the wrong way? What's this van doing? Put his hazard lights on. No, he's parked over there. Now this is what can happen on driving tests where things start to go wrong. So if we look at what's happened in the last few minutes there, the people's gone the wrong way and ended up in McDonald's. They've then gone the wrong way on the roundabout. They've then pulled up behind a van that looked as though they were going to be stopping dead. And we were almost stuck, but the van pulled up on the other side of the road. It was things like this that really start to play on the people's mind. And it really starts to make them worry and panic and think, what's going on? So we're taking the next road on the right. And the sat-nav's saying make a U-turn. Well, the examiner will guide you here as to what to do, but we're back at this Y junction and we're turning into the correct part of this Y junction again. The first place you can turn is where you should turn. So you don't go further forward and go right, you go right into this part as we are now. And then we're going to be taking the next road on the left. Now we're going to pull up on the left just before we reach the next parked car. We're going to leave enough room to pull away again. This is again the angled start as you've seen in other videos of mine. And this is a good example of taking advantage of something that's gone wrong. So we may have gone the wrong way, but we've taken advantage of that and we made use of it by doing an angled start behind this car. As this bird lands on the road, he's now out of the way. So we're going to be carrying on whenever we're ready. Now there's something I just said there about carrying on whenever we're ready. I'm going to be talking about that more in the special version of this video I do, where I look at the language of the driving test and how sometimes what instructors and examiners say can really mess things up for you. Can you see why that's not a good way of phrasing it? Why should you not tell someone to carry on when they're ready? Well, I'll be telling you more in an upcoming video, so make sure you subscribe to see that. Now at the end of the road we're going to be turning left. And I should mention as well, you may have noticed about a minute ago there, the camera jumped back, the video jumped back. So as we're driving along, the video actually jumped back a little bit. That's just the way this camera worked. Again, this is not the camera I use anymore. But it used to kind of every 5 minutes, when it started recording a new file, it would jump back 1 second. End of the road, you're going to turn left. So throughout this video, if occasionally every 5 minutes the video jumps back a little bit, that's just the way this camera works. And I did normally edit that out, but this video was filmed quite a while ago and I forgot to do that, sorry, so there will be the odd jump in the video. So we're now going to follow down this road and the sat-nav has now worked out where we are. I know you can't see the sat-nav in this video, again it's because it's my older camera. It didn't have such a wide angle lens as my new one has, so you couldn't see the sat-nav when I filmed with this camera. So we're following down the road over these bumps. A great tip for these bumps is to line up the tip of the white arrow with your clutch pedal. So imagine when you're driving and you've got your left foot by the clutch pedal about to change gear, you should line up the tip of the white arrow with your clutch pedal.
Yards, go right on the roundabout and take the third
and that will allow
exit.
you to go over the bumps smoothly in most cars. It doesn't always work, it depends on the make and model of your car. So we're now back en route, and as you heard at the roundabout we'll be going right, third exit.
Go right on the roundabout.
This is where the people should have gone in the first place. So we've actually added quite a bit onto this route. We've added a good 5 minutes on to this test route by going the wrong way. But if you go the wrong way on a driving test, you'll simply be guided back onto the route. Unless there would be an enormous detour that would take a long time, they won't let you drive off the route. They will get you back on the route, just in case you're trying to be sneaky and avoid something on the route.
Cross the roundabout and take the second exit, then take the third left.
So we're going ahead on the roundabout, second exit, and then taking the third left. Not quite as simple as it may sound, because the third left is quite a long way off. So I'm going to keep quiet for a little bit now. See if you can spot what's coming up here.
After 200 yards, turn left.
Did you see both of the dangers there? There was the vehicle reversing onto the road and that narrow bridge.
Turn left. After 200 yards, turn left, then, at the end of the road, turn right.
So this is another one of those back areas I was talking about, where this route involves a lot of these. There's a lot of back roads and a lot of side roads, as well as a good mix of busy roads as well.
Then, at the end of the road, turn right.
It is a bit confusing the way the sat-nav works in yards. Because I don't work in yards, I don't really even know what yard is. I work in meters. I know what feet are, but I don't know what yards are. They need to get them to work in meters, because that's what more people use. So we're now going to pull up on the left in a safe place. And this is just another one of those stops you have to do on your driving test. Now if you look on the left here, you see where we are by a pathway down to someone's house. But we're not blocking a driveway. Be very careful of this, because if you look on the right hand side, you'll see where that gate is, for example. It isn't that obvious that there's a driveway there. So you have to be careful you don't block any of these driveways, which are not that obvious to see. Sometimes people have driveways put in, but they don't have the curb lowered because there's a long waiting time to have that done. So the driveways are not always easy to spot. So we're now carrying on, and we're still doing the sat-nav. This part of the route will come to an end quite soon, and we'll be back to normal directions. But for now, we're just going to follow the sat-nav.
At the end of the road, turn left, then turn left.
Notice it says end of the road left. There's a very common thing people fail to test on here. Can you see why people fail here when the sat-nav is saying end of the road left? We see that road on the left where the blue car's coming from.
Turn left, then turn left.
You notice that was a one-way road. And it was saying no entry, no left turn. I've had many pupils that have turned left into that road, and the examiner has to brake and say nope, you can't go that way. Now what's the speed on this road?
After 100 yards, turn left, then cross the roundabout and take the second exit. Turn left, then cross the roundabout and take the second exit.
Did you spot that road just was a 20? What many people don't and start driving down it at 30. They're talking about things people fail on. How do you think the pupils done so far?
After 100 yards, cross the roundabout and take the second exit. Cross the roundabout and take the second exit.
And the pupil brakes there for that car coming from the right. So what do you think about that? Is that enough to fail on? Did they see it too late, or was that acceptable? What about the time earlier on, when we went into McDonald's? Do you think that is acceptable? Or would that be enough reason to fail a driving test? Let me know what you think. So looking ahead, what have we got here? There's some traffic lights, there's a no U-turn sign, and there's lots of parked cars in the left-hand lane. Now something a lot of people do wrong here is they do what you call straddle the lane. They straddle the line going between the two lanes.
After 300 yards, cross the roundabout and take the second exit, then turn left.
And they get too close to parked cars. So there you go, we're going to cross the roundabout. Now which lane would you go in to go ahead on this roundabout? Think about the bumps that we spoke about earlier with the arrows. Which lane?
Cross the roundabout and take the second exit, then turn left.
Now the pupil's gone in the left lane. Look ahead at the exit to the roundabout. Why was the left lane not the best lane to choose on that occasion? You see there were parked cars there.
After 300 yards, turn left, then turn left.
They were visible before we got to the roundabout. So ideally there, you should be in the right hand lane. And the pupils now move left.
Turn left.
Because the sat-nav was saying turn left. But what's happening here? That's just what I was talking about a while ago. People get too close to the parked cars. But is that enough to fail on or not? What do you think?
Turn left.
So again, lots of back roads, and again, a big black bird flying over the car. There's been quite a few black birds on this test, have you noticed? So when you're heading down these roads, the pupil's doing well to keep the speed down, keep it low. You must be able to stop on the road you can see to be clear in front of you. So what that means is, whenever you're driving, you must be able to stop on the road you can see. So we're going to pull up on the left in a safe place. And we're now going to move off again when it's safe to do so. Now, did you notice the difference there with what I said about moving off compared to what I said earlier when we moved off? We're now going to carry on along the road and we're still following the sat-nav. What's going on with this van? See, there's something hanging out the side of the van. That's actually some people. Now you see, that's a good example of a hazard. When you look at that, it could have looked like just a pattern on the van.
At the end of the road, turn left.
When you get closer, it can look like there's just some carpets or something hanging out of the van.
Turn left.
And then you realise it's actually two people dressed in very bright clothing. Now that was good the way the people went past that van quite slowly. Because very often people fail driving tests on what you call adequate clearance. So that's the amount of clearance you leave to parked vehicles. And if there are people hanging out of the vehicle, that's even more reason.
At the end of the road, Turn right.
to leave a good amount of room as you go past them. You see that driver there opening the door. Is anyone going to open the passenger door? No. But always be careful, because if one door's opened, another door could open.
Turn right.
You notice there how the people signalled after they'd passed the side road that they are blocking this car from coming ahead. The car that's got the wing mirror casing smashed. So again, is that a good enough reason to fail a driving test? Were we blocking that vehicle, and does that count against you? That's the purpose of this video in particular. I want you to let me know whether you think these faults are bad enough to fail on or not.
After 200 yards, cross the roundabout and take the second exit. Cross the roundabout and take the second exit.
And again there the camera just jumps back a little bit, that's what I was saying earlier.
After 500 yards, turn left.
So we're going to follow to the left here. A lot of people there go the wrong way. And this is now about 2/3 of the way through the driving test.
After 300 yards, sharp left, then you have reached your destination on your left.
Now, did you notice how the sat-nav said sharp left? Now, it's quite unusual to hear a sat-nav say sharp left. So on this occasion, the examiners do normally help you by saying the sharp left is immediately after these parked cars.
Reached your destination on your left.
It's very hard to see. Can you see it? Now, did you notice there, as we entered that road, there was a sign, the grey back of the sign that we saw. That's what I was talking about earlier with the Y junctions, and it's well worth doing a video on those Y junctions, because if you were coming the other way, as that lorry was just then, you would not have been able to go the way that we just came in from. So those Y junctions do cause a lot of confusion. Let me know if you'd like to see a video, especially on Y junctions. So we're just ignoring the sat-nav for a little bit because the sat-nav is saying we've reached our destination.
On your left.
We're just going to carry on driving, but where do you go here? Where does the road go? We see the road goes round to the right. Not that difficult you might think, but as I've said before in other videos, it's easy to sit back and watch a video. It's much more difficult when you're actually in the car doing this yourself on a real driving test. So we're continuing along the road, and the sat-nav won't talk anymore because that's now reached the end of its programmed route. And with the sat-navs that we use for driving tests, which are TomToms, you can actually press record and drive a route and record that actual route. Sometimes, however, it does change the route, which is quite bizarre. I don't know why it does that, but even when you program the route in, it still sometimes changes that route. And it's nothing to do with traffic or anything like that. It's really weird how even a programmed route can change sometimes. If you know why that is, let me know in the comments. And once the routes are programmed in, you can actually share them with other TomToms. And at the end of the road, we'll be turning right. There are websites where you can actually buy the driving test routes on sat-navs. I don't recommend doing that because the routes do change quite often. And again, it's not about learning a route. The purpose of these videos is not to memorise test routes. They can change them anytime they want. And as you saw earlier in this video, pupils can change them anytime they want. So we're taking the next road on the left. Now you see that sign that says your speed 18, 17, 16. What does that mean? Well, I've known those signs to really mess pupils up on their driving test. That shows you how fast you are going. And we're going to take the next road on the right. That speed sign is not what the speed limit is, that's what speed you're actually doing. Because I do remember tests I've done where people have been following what the sign said, so it says your speed 18 and they slow down to 18, then it says 16 and they slow down to 16, and they're saying, well, the speed limit keeps changing. It's not the speed limit, that is the actual speed that you're doing, which is approximately 10% different to the speed shown on your speedo. Does anyone know why that sign is 10% different roughly to the speed shown on your speedo? So at the end of the road we're going to turn right and then immediately turn left. Now you notice it is an immediate turn. Many times people miss this turn because they go right and the examiners do say immediately turn left. If they say immediate, this is what they mean. It's there straight away. Where the white car just went twice. It's good the video jumped to that occasion because you can see exactly what I meant about where to go. Now we're going to pull up on the left in a moment, just so we can turn off the stand nav. So we're going to pull up on the left somewhere just around here. While we're here, I'm going to tell you a funny story about this road. If you don't know, my videos always include some funny stories. I taught a few pupils to live down this road, and there was a guy who lived opposite them, and he was a martial arts expert. He was a karate black belt, and so were all the other members of his family. And one evening, they were sitting in the house watching TV, when a burglar decided to break in to the house. Well, he didn't know that they were all karate experts, and instead of phoning the police, they had to phone an ambulance for the burglar. So we're going to take the next road on the left. Now there's something very interesting happens on this road. This is what I call the Crossroads of Doom. Can anyone guess why I call this the Crossroads of Doom? Well, just have a look and see what happens here. Can you see the crossroads? So we've had to do an emergency stop there because the people didn't see the crossroads. You wouldn't believe how many people miss that crossroads. That's why I call it the Crossroads of Doom, because it's where so many people fail the driving test. You see the white lines on the floor? Whenever you see those white lines, it means there's something coming up. Now they can just be down the middle of the road to separate the lanes, but if you don't get them and then you suddenly see them, it's very often because there is a hazard coming up. And we're taking the next road on the right. So what do you think about that? Now that was not the people doing the emergency stop. So what do you think about that if you're on a driving test and the examiner has to do an emergency stop for you because you've missed a crossroads? What do you think about that? What do you think about that compared to going into McDonald's, to getting too close to parked cars, to driving past pedestrians too closely? What do you think all of these things would do to your driving test? So end of the road you turn left, we're following this car with all the flags on the roof. What is there on the left? A parked bus. Now is there another bus in front of that bus or not? No, but always check that because very often there are two buses or even three sometimes parked together there, and it can be really difficult to see around them. You notice the road on the right's closed, and we're following ahead anyway. So always check that if you're going to overtake a bus, make sure there is somewhere to go to when you overtake it. If you're not certain, creep very slowly around the first bus and make sure that you have got somewhere to go to. You do not want to overtake a bus or any other vehicle when you're planning on squeezing in front of it and then you suddenly realise there is nowhere to squeeze in front of it because there's another bus parked there. Now in a moment we're coming up to another roundabout which I've mentioned in other videos in this series. I'm going to keep quiet for a bit. I want you to just watch what happens here and see what you would do and see what you make of this. The roundabout, we're going to go right, 4th exit. What would you do? Now the people just moved off from the left-hand lane. Almost stalled the car, but just got it back. They then cut to the right hand lane. We'll go over that more at the end, which is coming up quite soon, because this is now not far from the end of the test. In fact, we're now going back past that McDonald's and back past that car that had all the flags on. So the roundabout, we're following the road ahead, 2nd exit. Now at the end of this road, there is something else I've mentioned in other driving test videos. I want you to have a look at this road. What do you notice about this road? What kind of road is this? Or more specifically, what kind of carriageway is this? Now, as you may have just seen on that sign on the right hand side there, this is a dual carriageway. Now at the end of the dual carriageway, we're going to be turning right. If you're turning right at the end of a one-way road, which this is, how would you position your car to turn right? Now I've mentioned this in other videos. Is the people going to do this successfully or not? Let's have a look and see. So at the very end of the road we go right, and again we do stress the very end of the road. So the people's thinking about it, which lane are they going to use? Yes, that's correct, they've gone in the right hand lane. So that's how you should do that. We go into the middle, can we go all the way over in one go? Notice these times on the bus lane sign there. It's a bus lane from 7 AM to 7 PM, so we can't use it at the moment. But if a bus line is available, you should use them on your driving test, or you can be failed for that. So we're now going to turn back into the test centre. So I'm going to end the video here, because all we do now is turn in the centre and park up. So the result of that driving test, as you know, from me telling you at the beginning, was a fail. There are 3 things that the people failed on. Do you know what those 3 things are? Well, the 3 things are: number 1, clearance to obstructions. There were several times when the people got far too close to parked vehicles and they were almost hitting the parked vehicle, in particular the one where we turn left from the dual carriageway. You must be at least doors width away from another vehicle as you pass them. So imagine that the vehicle you're passing has their door wide open as far as it can possibly be. You must be able to drive past and still not hit them with that much space. Now if there's not enough space to do so, then you must slow down so you can stop more easily. That includes if it's a vehicle like a bus that doesn't have a door that opens on that side apart from perhaps the emergency exit. So for any vehicle you pass, you must be at least a full door's width away from them. The second reason I failed was the Crossroads of Doom. The people simply didn't see the Crossroads of Doom and went to go flying straight over them. So when we have to brake for a pupil, that is a failed test. There was also the roundabout where we turned right. Did you notice a few things about that? First of all, we were in the left-hand lane when we went to turn right, which is of course incorrect for that particular roundabout. There are some roundabouts where you can turn right from the left lane, but that one wasn't marked as such, so you can't turn right from the left lane on that roundabout. We also almost stalled as we joined the roundabout, but there is one other thing about that. But do you know what it was? Well, I'm not going to tell you, I want you to let me know what else happened just around the same time as we did that roundabout. Check out these other videos on the screen now to see more driving test videos full of hints and tips on how to pass, as well as my usual funny stories. Subscribe to my channel for more videos like this. Thanks for watching, and as always, I'll see you again soon for more videos.